Hi everyone, I'm Frankxan Stanley, aka Frankie. I have just completed the AlphaStars InnerMost shift coaching, and which is filled and translated using the BestLife NLP tools. As I said this sentence, the first thing that came into my mind were basically three faces, right? Sat&Siri, Siri, and prosperity, right? So I'm going to start saying the first things that come into my mind as I see these faces. So when it comes, but Sat&Siri, so there's this wondering question, and I'm curious as to, is there anything he does not know? Seriously, is there anything he does not know? And then I realized that it is stemming, I'm speaking for him, it is probably stemming from the thought which my grandpa told me long back. Many a times in life, what has to go, only then what has to come will come. And I think that's exactly what he's living. What he knows, he gives. So what he has to know will come. Wow. And that's possibly this self-harnessing knowledge cycle that he has. When it comes to Siri, the first word that comes into my mind is happiness. She's my, today since I know the name, she's my visual anchor for happiness. Right? I spoke to Siri on a call before I came in, and it took just 2 calls for me to understand. Something made sense. Go here and it will make sense for you. All right? Very strong. I can sense strength. So she's also an anchor for that resource. And when I see prosperity, it's this calmness, but there's a sense of complete knowingness in that calmness. Absolutely, right? She knows exactly when to come. Right, she comes in at the right time, and she gives you exactly what you need at that point in time. And I guess that's exactly what prosperity does as well. So the name suits her. You don't have to be always in prosperity, but it has to come at the right time and enable you for the right thing. Right? So I think she's at the right place at the right time. Right? And I absolutely love this program because it's a very hands-on program. It's not designed theoretically, right? It's a very hands-on. We would all agree to that. With a lot of peer-to-peer coaching experiences that we have, coaching scenarios that get created, of course, everything is built on the foundation of this IC probe, model that we have right now. And what I'm taking away from this program is a 5-letter word, and please remember this word because I'll be using it a lot for over the next 10 minutes. SENSE, sense. I'm taking a lot of sense. Throughout these 8 days, if there's one thing that came back and back to me, it's sense, right? And my sense is telling me right now that the one takeaway that I'm going to take a lot from here is that now I know how 8 people are in various scenarios as well, right? In certain situations I know, okay, how will a Surya be? In some situations I know how will a prosperity be. In some situations I know how is going to be Deepak, right? So that's also one takeaway that I have. I could have done this just one-on-one as well, possibly with so many things, but the whole advantage of working as a group is that now I know 8 different models of approaching situations, and that's what I'm sensing as I stand here now. So with that, let me take you into the model, the coaching model that I have prepared, and I'm starting off now. But before I do that, let me set the stage. India is today what? A 1.3 billion population, right? And stats say over half. The last I read, it was about 55% of this population is under 25. right? And that number is only going to grow because today's and tomorrow's parents are my generation, right? Which is already a lot. So that means at this base, we're only going to grow more young. And so if there's one capital that I firmly know that India has, and if there's one thing that India is going to be sure of to be using as a resource and becoming a superpower, it's human capital. Now, all of these young minds, they can either go completely with no sense, or they can all discover their inner sense. And that's where I think, I know, if that happens, then India is a superpower, right? So building on that premise, my coaching model is meant for the K-12 students, the K-12 minds, which is under the age of 15 years, right? And this shape, to me, is basically the womb, right? And all of us, I mean, at some level, tap into our sense of the inner child in us, and I think our sense developed when we were even there. So this is very analogous to me. It's a shape of a womb, and I think if we can create shifts in such young minds, then that shift is actually going to be sustainable, right? To get to these minds, I'll definitely have to go through influences, principles, various boards of education, do some demo events, make them understand, why we are doing what we are doing. And first, tap into the parents and the teachers. And let these parents and teachers know that what they think is the epitome of parenting and the epitome of teaching, probably the child needs something completely different, right? The innermost shift is very different from, what possibly today's level of understanding of parenting and teaching is. So I think I'll have to start using the tools of breaking the mastery straight there itself for parents and teachers, so that they don't start conditioning the child to feeling good or bad for this reason and that reason. And if that doesn't happen, then the child feels good for no damn reason, right? So that's where I'm going to start off from. Thereafter, the toddlers, mid-school, seniors, I'm going to work on them using various tools and using various programs. So tap into their feel good. I think the child is naturally gifted at that age. They feel good for no reason until we condition them. Build a sense of resourcefulness in them. Set their goal. Take them to a state of excellence, of sensing their highest state of excellence, and then building into them a sense of discipline and determination to stay on their goal and building on that resource for a long time. All of this is going to be taught to them, and to sense the coaching presence with a lot of love and trust. So that's why I've put that as the umbilical cord, right? So there's a lot of love and trust that flows, and that ensures that the coaching presence is always maintained as they are trying to sense this outer world. And when that happens, to me, what I think I'm going to create is a know sense. KNOW, sense. They're going to know what sense is, what their inner sense is. And I think that is when that shift will happen and the child gets ready for birth. And that is what we want, right? And that is when that birth is what I am basically referring to as the innermost shift, right? And once that is done, then taking them through their goals, action plans is self-explanatory. Of course, we will coach them, but that will happen as a part of the process. So this is my no sense model for creating inner shifts in young minds. This model is the core of a program that I'm starting off called the I Learn, right? It's got a phonetic pun to it. I learn, AYE in English means saying yes. So say yes to learning. Using the BestLife NLP tools. That is the core. The content we prepare will be based on that. And this I learn content then can be transmitted to the young minds in whichever medium they want to. That it can be either on the machines, it can be either through books, it can be through the internet, it can be through learning centers, because every child learns either visually or auditorily, kinesthetically. So depending on how the child learns, feed them the content. Right? From a goal point of view, I'm taking a 3-year goal, creating 100,000 shifts over the next 3 years, 100,000 happy shifts over the next 3 years, and I'm specifically not calling it 100,000 consumers. I'm not calling it 100,000 customers. I'm using the word 100,000 shifts, because if the shift doesn't happen in the customer and consumer, the job's not done. Right? I'm very consciously using the word shifts. Right? So that's my coaching model, and as I move on this journey, I'd like to just share a couple of thoughts that came in while I was sitting there. Is when no sense makes no sense, then knowing sense is the new sense. And if you knew sense, then everything makes sense.
Well said.
And if that makes sense, then the question is, how do we always remain in no sense? And knowing that is sense.
Wow.
Right? So with that thought, I'd like to wish all of us out here a very good and a happy sense. That's the essence that I want to leave you. Thank you so much.
I think that's a big gap, and you can cover up, because child is innocent and parents are innocent. So go and cover up, that's required. And you have a good marketing tool as it is. You can reach to every person. You can sneak in whatever they are searching in for, use that, and you can definitely create one lakh shift. Okay, great.